Is melatonin legal in Malaysia, and does it actually help you sleep? Here's the direct answer. No, not really. Melatonin sits in Group C of Malaysia's Poisons Act 1952, and as of the most recent public reporting, no melatonin product has actually been approved for sale here. So it isn't legally available over the counter, and effectively not even on prescription. As for the sleep effect itself, it's real, but modest, averaging about 7 minutes faster to fall asleep compared with a placebo, not the knockout fix the gummy bottles promise. I'm going to walk you through exactly where the legal line sits, what the actual trial evidence shows, who melatonin tends to help most, and what's worth trying instead if a supplement isn't on the table, because search melatonin Malaysia and you'll find gummies for sale within a few taps, right next to forum threads arguing about whether any of that is even legal. So what actually is melatonin? It's a hormone your pineal gland releases in response to darkness, and its real job is timing, not sedation. According to the UK's National Health Service, melatonin helps control your circadian rhythm, the internal clock that tells your body when it's night. That's the key difference from a classic sleeping pill. A sedative forces your nervous system to slow down regardless of the clock. Melatonin instead nudges your body's own sense of what time it is. That's why it tends to help most when the problem is a mistimed clock jet lag, shift work, a delayed body clock, and least when the problem is simply a nervous system that won't switch off, which is closer to what most stress-driven sleep problems actually are. Now, the legal picture, because this is where most people get it wrong. Melatonin-containing medicines are classified in Group C of the first schedule of Malaysia's Poisons Act 1952, which restricts dispensing to registered pharmacists, doctors, dentists, and vets. But here's the surprising part. With no approved product to dispense, that restriction is almost academic. You won't find melatonin on a normal Malaysian pharmacy shelf, prescription or otherwise. Because, as at the most recent public reporting, the Drug Control Authority hasn't approved a single melatonin product for use in Malaysia. Bottles sold through some online marketplaces are, by definition, unregistered, and unregistered supplements carry a real quality risk, since nobody's checked their actual melatonin content or purity. And this isn't a fixed worldwide rule either. In the United States, melatonin is sold over the counter as a dietary supplement. In the United Kingdom, it's prescription only. New Zealand actually reclassified it in 2025. So pharmacies can now sell approved products for short courses without a doctor's consultation. Malaysia's current position, no approved product at all, is the stricter end of that whole range. Set the legal question aside for a moment and look purely at the evidence, because the marketing has run well ahead of the science here too. A meta-analysis pooling 19 trials and 1,683 people found melatonin users fell asleep, on average, about 7 minutes faster and slept about 8 minutes longer than people on placebo. That's a genuine, statistically real effect, and also a modest one next to a prescription sedative. Here's the specific, useful part most marketing skips. More isn't simply better. A 2024 dose-response analysis of 26 trials found melatonin's benefit for sleep rises with dose only up to about 4 milligrams a day, then flattens out completely, taking more buys you nothing extra. Timing mattered just as much as dose in that same analysis. Taking it roughly 3 hours before your target bedtime beat the common habit of popping it 30 minutes before lights out. Melatonin's strongest, least disputed use is a mistimed body clock jet lag and shift work, not a nervous system that simply won't quiet down. For everyday chronic insomnia, professional guidance is actually more cautious than most people expect. The American Academy of Sleep Medicine is explicit that clinicians should not use melatonin to treat chronic insomnia in adults, pointing instead to cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia as the first-line approach. On safety, the picture for adults at studied doses is reassuring, with one real asterisk. Minor effects like drowsiness and headache are genuinely more common, even though serious adverse events aren't. The sharper concern is children. In markets where melatonin gummies are sold over the counter, unsupervised ingestion by young kids has become a measurable problem. Nearly 11,000 emergency room visits in the U.S. between 2019 and 2022 involved children 5 and under, and almost half of those involved the gummy form because it looks and tastes exactly like candy to a toddler. So if melatonin isn't a real option in Malaysia, what's actually worth doing? This matters because Malaysians are genuinely short on sleep. The 2023 National Health and Morbidity Survey found 38% of adults get under 7 hours a night, which is exactly why this question keeps coming up. The honest answer leans behavioral, not chemical. Sleep medicine guidelines put cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia ahead of any supplement, and its core techniques cost nothing. A fixed wake time every single day, getting out of bed if you can't sleep instead of lying there frustrated, cutting daytime napping, more daylight earlier in the day, and a cooler, darker, screen-free bedroom before you reach for anything stronger. If jet lag, shift work, or ongoing insomnia is genuinely affecting you, that conversation belongs with a doctor or pharmacist who can weigh what's actually appropriate and legally available to you. So, to recap the direct answer, melatonin isn't legally available over the counter in Malaysia. It sits in Group C of the Poisons Act, with no approved product on the market, and even where it is legal elsewhere, the sleep effect itself is real but modest, and it works best for a mistimed clock, not a racing mind. This is general wellness education, not medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please speak to a healthcare professional about your own sleep, especially if it's persistent or severe. If you want the full graded breakdown, every study and every reference, the complete guide is on the wellspring.com.my. And if you're not sure whether this is even the right conversation for where you're at, that's exactly what a real one-to-one chat can help you map.